Good morning, everyone. Today, inshallah, we will continue with some problems. It's really very important to understand the way the problems are and how to go through them. For this problem in specific, this is one of the good problems that you have. Here he is giving you 3 points, and it's somewhat connected to the linear algebra with the last chapter 8, as I remember. Here he is giving you 3 points, A, B, and C. Each one of them, of course, in R3, because you have 3 coordinates. So that's A, B, and C. We will write the vector in parametric and the Cartesian equations of the line defined by A and B, and of the plan defined by A, B, and C. In order to write such thing, you will have to remember that each straight line, in order to determine its equation, it's enough for you to know just 2 things about a straight line. Just only 1 point on this straight line and a vector in its direction. So for any straight line, in order to get its equation, either in parametric or in Cartesian, it's fair enough to find just only 2 things. 1 vector in its direction and just only a point. So in order to get a point, I will choose, let's say, point number A, because he just means the line defined by A and B. So this is the point. Keep it with you. Now I will have to find the direction ratio, Martin, which is the vector. How to get the vectors of the direction ratio of A and B? Simply choose to get B minus A or vice versa. But once you started this process, starting from B minus A, you go with the all coordinates, which means that in order to get line in parametric, I will get the direction. The direction is going to be 2 minus 1, 1 minus negative 1, negative 1 minus 2, or vice versa, but you will have to keep it. Okay, the order of these subtractions. So now to get the direction ratio of an AB, all I have to do is just to make, as I told you, the difference between these 2 points. See where to write the direction ratio in a parametric equation. That's a parametric equation. The direction ratio will be in front of a lambda, which is an arbitrary constant that can be chosen within the R. And the point will be the first. So I will choose point A or point B, it will make no difference. Just only 1 point belongs to this straight line. I will go for A. So this is A, 1, negative 1, and 2. And the direction ratio, which is the difference, as I told you, 2 minus 1 is going to be 1. 1 minus negative 1, so it's going to be 2. Negative 1 minus 2, which is going to come up to negative 3. Now I have the point and the direction ratio. Let me summarize this for you. If I want to get a line in X, Y, and Z in parametric, I will put the point first. Let's say it's X1, Y1, and Z1, plus a certain constant, which is T, times a direction ratio in the direction of this straight line. So if this is A and B, I will use point A, which is point number 1, then I will get a direction ratio in the direction of this straight line, which will be written here, let's say A1, A2, A3. The question, once more, how to get a direction ratio between 2 points? Just get the difference between them, okay? Okay, now I have the parametric representation. Why parametric representation is useful for us? بص يا مارتن، parametric representation لو انا حبيت افك الايكويشن اللي هناك دي، can you give me the exact values of the x coordinate? The x coordinate simply will be 1 plus 1 times lambda. So it's going to be a 1 plus lambda. Y, it's going to be
Negative 1.
Negative 1 plus 2 lambda. So negative 1 plus a 2 over lambda. Z equal to, it's going to be 2 minus 3 lambda. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes. why we prefer parametric representation. Instead of having 3 unknowns, which are the coordinates of this point, I will have just only one unknown, which is t. So this is why once we try to get an intersection down the road between a plan and a straight line, between a plan and something else, if it is possible to use the parametric equation, it's going to be easier for you because you are reducing the number of variables. Okay, how to get a Cartesian equation for a straight line? It's really very simple. More even simpler than the parametric representation. So this is the form or the details of the parametric substitution. If I want to get a Cartesian, all I have to do, Mr. Martin, I will write 3 ratios. بص x minus equal y minus equal z minus divided by the coordinates of the direction vector, which is a1, a2, and a3. And on the denominator, I will just insert the point, which is simply, it's gonna be for here x1, y1, and z1. This is the main law of a Cartesian representation of a straight line. So in this case, you will have x minus 1 divided by 1, which is equal to y minus negative 1 divided by 2. And the last one is going to be z minus negative 3, minus 2 divided by negative 3. This is the representation that I'm telling you about. So the point will be on the denominator, while the direction vector is going to be on the denominator. Okay, fair enough. If I want to write an equation, parametric equation of a plan, the parametric equation of the plan that passes through the points A, B, and C, it's also really very simple. All I have to have is just only one point belongs to this plan. So I'm talking about the plan surface, and 2 direction vectors in this plan, or a normal vector in this plan. So I have 2 directions. If I want to write Cartesian, I will have to get this plan equation. Okay, it's going to be simple. All I have to have just only one point and a normal vector. This is to write the Cartesian representation. Okay, if I want to write a parametric equation, it's going to be very, very simple. Just only one point plus 2 vectors in this plan. 2 vectors in this plan. This is how I'm going to do it right now. So all I have to do now is to get x, y, and z, which is exactly like the straight line. This is one of the points. I would prefer to use the first point. It's up to you. Any one of them can work. So it's going to be 1, negative 1, and 2. Then I will, instead of having one constant, I will have how many constants? 2 of them. So the first is alpha. Thank you. The first is alpha, and the second is beta. The first, which is alpha, okay, will be multiplied by direction ratio, let's say A and B. So I'm getting the direction ratio A and B. So once more, 2 minus 1, and 1 minus negative 1, and the negative 1 minus 2, which is going to be the direction ratio of A and B. Then plus beta, which is another constant, times the direction ratio of another difference between 2 points. I've used here to be C and B, so all I have to do is to get 2 minus 1, 1 minus 1, negative 1 minus 5, which is going to come up to this case. This is the parametric representation of a plan in 2 dimensions, as you can see. Okay, I'm sorry, the parametric equation of a plan. Okay, if I want to get the equation in Cartesian, what to do? I will need these 2 vectors. So first of all, I will get a normal vector. This is in order to write an equation of a plan. I will get a normal vector. How to get a normal vector? You will have to have 2 vectors which is perpendicular on this normal vector, which are the 2 direction vectors. That's 1, 2, and the negative 2. تمام محمد? 1, 2, and the negative 3. This is the first vector that already exists on this plan. And that's the second one, which is 1, 0, and negative 6. And also it's perpendicular on the normal vector of the plane that I want. How to get a vector which is perpendicular on other two vectors? According to our study in linear algebra, we can do this through cross multiplication. So all I have to do is to simply write an I, j, and k in a determinant, writing 1, 2, and the negative 3, then 1, 0, and the negative 6, and then I will be able to get the coordinates of this normal vector. Okay, how to get it? I will go eliminating the first row and the first column, so I will have negative over 12. This is for the first component, or negative 12i. For the second component, Mr. Martin remarked that I will put first minus. Then I will erase the first column, the first row, and the second column. Then 1 times negative 6 is going to be negative 6, plus a 3, which is going to come up to negative over 3. Then finally I will go for k, eliminating the row and columns, and then I will have 0 minus 2, so this is mainly the normal vector that I'm seeking.
It's supposed to be positive.
Okay, yes, this is 0,
This is
2,
negative 6.
minus 2, so it's going to be negative 2.
Negative 6 or negative positive.
Once more, you are talking about the second component or the final one?
Second.
The second. Eliminating these two values is going to be 1 times the negative 6 is going to be negative 6.
Yeah.
Then plus 3, which is going to be negative 3. But don't forget that we have sign rule that states positive, negative, and positive. So this is why I've started, before writing the negative 3, which is a value of the minor, by inserting a negative sign. Because this rule says positive, negative, positive. Once you try to evaluate the minor, it's going to be 1 minus negative 6 plus 3, so it's going to be a total of negative 3. So the result will be positive. Okay? Okay, perfect. Sorry, I have a really, really bad cold today.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the parametric representation as I told you. Now I will have the normal vector, which is either keeping it with the negative signs or multiply in a negative, it will make no difference. So it's going to be negative 12 of x minus 3 of y plus 2z. Then how to get the value of this number? Simply, I will write, if I want to keep it like this way or that way, it will make no difference. So I will write it like this and then I will change it. So it's going to be negative 12 of x, and then plus 3 of y, and then minus 2 of z, then minus, open a bracket, and it's equal to 0. In this bracket, I will multiply the coordinates of the point times the coordinates of this normal vector. In coordinate starting point, which we choose, is 1, negative 1, and 2. So all I have to do now is to multiply by 1, negative 1, and 2, which are the coordinates of the point, 1, negative 1, and 2. See how I'm going to multiply. 1 times negative 12, it's going to be negative 12. Negative 1 times 3, so it's going to be negative 3. 2 times negative 2 is going to be negative 4. Getting the sum of all of these numbers, you will end up having negative 19 times negative is going to be positive 19. If you multiply the whole equation in negative, you will have the exact same equation. So this is how we represent a straight line passing through 2 points, or writing a plan going through the 3 points. This is why this problem I prefer to have it to here instead of doing it with the previous session. Here he is asking you to sketch the following columns. This is important, okay? In the same coordinate system. عايز تنزل دول on the same coordinate system. If you remark for the first equation, which is x squared over 9 plus y squared equals 16. Anyone? What's the type of this equation in 2 dimensions? What's the type of this equation in 2 dimensions? Huh?
This is an
Circle?
No, it's an ellipse.
Or ellipse?
It's an ellipse because they don't
It's an
have
ellipse.
the same.
Okay, an ellipse, what's important about the ellipse is to determine the center. So for the first equation, what's going to be the center of the ellipse?
9, 1.
No, the center is 0 and 0.
0.
But the semi-axis, the semi-major x will be the x
Yeah.
under x, which is going to be 3, and the semi-minor x will be the x beneath y, which is going to be just only positive 1. So actually, for this ellipse, and this is important as I told you, it's going to be, the elliptical shape will be on the x-axis. This is the x, that's the y, and that's positive 3, that's negative 3, that's negative 1, and that's positive 1 for this ellipse. Well, the difference between this equation, Martin, and between the second one. The second equation, if you look, it's going to be really very close to this one, but just only with a simple addition, that the center of this ellipse is not going to be 0 and 0. It's going to be instead 1 and 2. So I will go as making a shift with the reference axis. So I will go for positive 1, then I will go for a 2 on the y-axis. Am I right? Yes. And then I will make another 2 axes, which is x dash, and on the other side, and that's y dash. Here we go. Here's y dash. Then I will start drawing this ellipse with the same semi-major axe and semi-minor axe. So it's going to be simply something like this, but this is going to be the center, which is going to be 1 and 2. Okay. This is the shape of these two ellipses if you draw them exactly. Okay, he's asking you write the equation of the following coordinate sections in reduced form and sketch their graphs. Houdini graphs pattern. What's the difference between the first one and the second one? Any ideas, Martin? You are writing something or doing something I don't see. So, not really sure if you are with me for the. Okay. Right. Which one of them? The first. Which is gonna be? We're still in 2 dimensions, so an equation like this, it could be a parabola, it could be an ellipse, it could be a circle, it could be a hyperbola. What's your suggestion? First of all, look to the sign of the squared axis. The squared axis is positive and positive. So we are going to reject the idea of having a hyperbola. And also I have these 2 axes squared, so the idea of having a parabola is also excluded. So now I'm between an ellipse or a circle. How to be sure which is which? If you have an ellipse, you will have different coefficients between x squared and y squared. But if you have the same coefficients, probably you will have a circle. In order to be sure about the characteristics of this circle in a specific, finding the center and radius, you will have to multiply the standard form. What's the standard form? The standard form simply is x minus alpha to the power of 2 plus y minus beta to the power of 2 equal a squared or r squared. So I will need to make a complete square. How to do a complete square for such a problem? I have x squared, then plus a 2 of x, then plus y squared, then negative 2 of y, and it's equal to 2. I will start doing the completing square process. If you remember, all I have to do, just to review these ideas with you, is I'm going to open a bracket to the power of 2 from x squared. I will take just only x. This number will be divided by 2 and will be written. So 2 divided by 2 is going to be plus 1. Once more, first square x square, first second times 2, which is going to be a 2 of x. The last is positive 1, so I will vote negative 1. So it's going to be a negative 1. Same for the second one. It's going to be y minus 1 to the power of 2, and all of this is equal to positive 2. So the first y square, first second times 2 is negative 2y. The last number is positive 1, so I will insert also negative 1. Once more, once you did this, start to gather the numbers together and keep the brackets together. So you will have x plus 1 to the power of 2 plus y minus 1 to the power of 2. These two numbers will be added together, so come up to negative 2. And also move this number into the other side, or move this negative 2 into the right hand side, you will have positive 4. If you look, take a good look for this equation, it's an x plus 1 to the power of 2, y minus 1 to the power of 2, and it's equal to 4, which is exactly an equation of a circle, but with the center negative 1 and positive 1. Because usually I go taking the inverse signs of these brackets. So this is the shape of this circle. That's the shape of the circle. Okay. For the second equation, look to the second equation. The second equation is minus x squared et of x minus y squared plus 2y minus 8 equals 0. Okay? Which is wonderful. This equation is very, very nice. For Misban's sake, this equation, which is the second one, okay, Mr. Yusuf, if I look to the second equation, also, and once more, it can be an ellipse, parabola, hyperbola, circle. What? How to discover this? The first thing that I told you is to look for the sign of the axis with the square. So, this is positive 9x squared, and this is negative of y squared. They have inverse signs. So, I'm talking with a hyperbola. Also, the idea of a circle is excluded because these numbers are different and different in sign. And the ellipse is also, these two signs are different, so it's not going to end up having an ellipse. Okay, it's not also a parabola, since you have both x squared and y squared appearing in front of you. If you don't have y squared or if you don't have x squared, probably it's going to be a parabola. But for the time being, now it's maybe a hyperbola, so all I have to do is to do once more a completing square. But the completing square in this time will contain, you will have to take 9 as a common and the negative 1 as a common, which it's not that much in complication, but should be considered in order to get the right equation that you are seeking to have. So, for completing square in the x direction, which Ms. Pansay, I will take 9 as a common. Taking the 9 as a common from these two values will leave you with x squared plus a 2 of x. And then I will take negative 1 from the other two values, which is gonna lead you to y squared, okay, minus a 2 over y. And I will have negative 8, and all of this equal to 0. The coming step, just be sure about the signs. Yes, it's working nicely. Negative y squared, negative times negative, it's more than perfect. The second step, and this, which is important, Ms. Pansay, 9, open a square bracket, then open another bracket to the power of 2, simply like we go with the y direction, okay? This is negative 8 and this is equal to 0, and this is the bracket to the power of 2. How to do the completing square, Mr. Martin? From x squared, I will consider just only x. From this number, I will divide by 2, keeping the sign. So, positive 2 divided by 2 is going to be a positive over 1. Try to expand it once more and compare. So the first square, x squared, first, second times 2 is going to be 2x. The last square is going to be positive 1. This is why I will have to insert negative 1 to cancel this number. In a similar manner, Muhammad, I will have also here y and the negative 1. Why negative 1? Because I divided negative 2 on 2. So once more, try to expand it. Y squared, y, first, second times 2 is going to be negative 2y. The last square positive 1, also I will vote negative 1. The second step, just to leave the numbers, the common numbers, to enter this square bracket. So I will have now 9 times x plus 1 to the power of 2 minus 9 Then careful about the sign. So it's going to be a negative over y minus 1 to the power of 2. Negative times negative is going to be a positive over 1 minus 8 equals 0. Now I will try to get the sum of all of these numbers all together. So you will have negative 9 and the positive 1, which is going to come up to negative 8. Negative 8 plus negative 8 is going to come up to negative 16. Just moving to the other side, you will have 9x plus 1 to the power of 2 minus 1 minus y minus 1 to the power of 2 equal 16. The second step, I will be dividing by 16. So this guy is going to be x plus 1 to the power of 2 over 16 and divided by 9. This one is going to be y minus 1 to the power of 2 and it is divided by 16 and it's equal to 1, which is an equation of a hyperbola which is symmetric about the y-axis. And I will go through the steps of drawing this hyperbola. I already did that before. So this is simply the shape of this hyperbola, making a symmetry with respect to an x relative to y. Okay, determine the intersection.
عشان تكون negative 16.
ما هو ده negative 16 and you move it to the other side. It's going to be positive. Am I right? Negative 9 plus negative 8, it's going to come up to negative 17 plus 1, negative 16 in the left hand side. I will move it to the right hand side, so it will come up to positive.
قصدي في اللي تحتيها بقى.
اللي تحتيها I will divide by 16. So once you divide by 16, 16 is going to be positive. يبقى ده هيبقى divided by 16. وده هيبقى divided by كام؟ 16 over 9. I will keep the negative sign between these two brackets.
مش هي 16 ونيجاتيف 1 و16 و9؟
لا. ده 16 انا عملت division عليه هنا في 1. ال1 ده هو اللي بنزله لتحت لو انا فاهم ان دماغك
ايوه قصدي بقى النيجاتيف 1 دي لما تنزل تحت تكون نيجاتيف.
لا مش هنزل نيجاتيف 1. انا بسيب النيجاتيف. بنزل النمبر. يعني يا يوسف لو في هنا نيجاتيف 2 هي 2 هي اللي هتنزل تحت. بس النيجاتيف ساين هكيبت. عشان يديني الشيب بتاع الهايبربولا. الجنرال فورم بتاعت الايكويشن بتاعت الهايبربولا فتبقى easier on me to speculate how to find the equation. Any questions? All make sense? This is important. And you will see how it is important with the becoming set of problems. Now read carefully everything and take care about the details, okay? He is asking you to determine the intersection, which is important and has a lot of application down the road you will see. Of the surface defined by the equation z squared equal x squared plus y squared. Any ideas about the shape of this equation? Any ideas about the shape of this equation? Circle. Circle? The physique. How to be a circle? أيوة. أيوة. Sphere. Sphere, it will have the same signs.
Cylinder. Cone. Cylinder.
Yes. Cone. ليه cone? لأن general equation of a cone it's exactly like the equation of a hyperparaboloid of one sheet, but it's equal to 0. So if you give a good look for this equation, you will find it like this: x squared plus y squared minus z squared, and it's equal to what? To 0. ده مهم يا يوسف. على طول once ان ده حصل اروح اعمل الكوردينيتس بتاعها. ادي x وطبعا انا دايما بحب اخد الانجل دي، يعني بحب اخد الانجل اللي انا راسمها دلوقتي، ده x ده y ده هنا الزي. Take care انه هو cone. The x inside this cone is the x with the negative sign. مين x اللي على negative sign بالنسبه لي؟ زي. اقوم اجي على الزد واروح اعمل خط كده واكمله تحت، يعني نفس التو ستريت لاينز دول بكملهم. بعدين تحت واروح اعمل السيركل بتاعتي. ادي شكل الكون اهو بالوضع اللي حضراتكم شايفينه. ده شكل الكون بتاعي. يعني اكنه على فكره من احد الافكار بتاعت construction of a cone. It's like an inclined straight line in 3 dimension and you are moving it on a circle. فاهم؟ يعني لو انا عندي ستريت لاين ربطه من الوسط كده وهو حر وخدت دي الليد بتاعه هي gonna be او التريس it's gonna be a circle. هيروح مديلك الشيب.
زي لما تعلق ماجنت وتلف وكده فتكون عامله
Yes, you are more than perfect. طبعا ده الشيب بتاع الكون اللي احنا بنتكلم عليه اهو. طبعا ده الزي اكس ده الاكس اكسس ده الواي اكسس it's another angle okay in order to see. Okay. بيقول determine the intersection of the surface divided by the equation each of the coordinate planes. مين الcoordinate planes؟
X, Y.
دي الاكسيس بس مين بقى الcoordinate planes؟ الاكس واي plan. Am I right? Yes? We are naming the same. XY plan, XZ plan, ZY plan. In each one of these plans, the x which is missing, it's very equal to 0. So if I want to see what's gonna be with the by one or the XY plan, what I have to do is to get back to this equation, inserting Z equal to 0. So once you put Z equal to 0 here, you will have 0 equal x squared plus y squared, which is a point. And this exactly make a complete sense.
دي اللي هي
Look,
السنتر بوينت
yes,
اللي هي ما بين اللي فوق واللي تحت.
it's the origin, شايف؟ It's the origin. هي دي البوينت الانترسكشن بتاعها ماشي هو بيديني مين؟ المكان بتاع الكون. طبعا x squared plus y squared equal to 0 which is a point. More than perfect. طيب لو انا عايز اجيب الانترسكشن
يعني لو قال مثلا
هنشوف معايا واحده بواحده. طيب لو انا عايز اجيب الانترسكشن بتاعي مع x equal to 0 مين x equal to 0؟ لو x equal to 0 انا بتكلم في الزد واي بلان يبقى انا عايز اشوف الشكل اللي ممكن يحصل لو انا بتكلم على الزد واي بلان يا ترى الشكل اللي هيحصل عندي هنا شكله عامل ازاي؟ Which is really very simple. What I have to do also is to get back to this equation and simply I will put x equal to 0. Once you put x equal to 0, you will have z square, okay, equal y square. لذلك هتلاقيني كاتب equation. It's a set of x, y, z, and it's a set of all points. That belongs to R cube, اللي هما بينتموا R3, ده عندك x, y, z. Such that z squared equal y squared and x equal to كام؟ to 0. So لو انا بكتب الايكويشن انا مش هكتب دي مش هكتب ده بيوضح لك هما مين اللي بينترسكت each other. الجزء الاولاني بيتكلم على الكوادراتيك. الايكويشن دي it's an equation of a plan صح؟ اللي هو البلان اللي فيه كل الاكسات بتساوي 0. Their intersection together will develop this equation. So simply, I can write it like this. It is the set of all points x, y, and z, which belongs to R cube such that إن أنا عندي z square equal y square and لو أنا دي يعني and زي ما حضراتكم عارفين x equal to 0. This is the set governing this vector space. or sub-vector space, we can say. Sub-vector space. Okay? More than perfect. يبقى إذا ده بالنسبة للجزء ده. انزل تاني. هو عايز يجيب مع y equal to 0. طب بس يعني from the case of curiosity. What's the equation? What's the equation of z squared equal y squared? Did you take something like this? Before? Z squared say y squared. Did you take something like this before?
It will be inclined.
It will be z squared minus y squared equal. So, which can be factorized simply. Am I right? Z minus y, z plus y equal to 0. Am I right? So you will end up having either z equal y and z equal negative what? Which means in the zy plane just only two straight lines like this. Two intersecting straight lines. Do you understand what I'm saying? So this is exactly right. So now this is the shape that I will have. Also in a similar manner, if y equal to 0, it's going to be exactly the same as say. I will get back to the general equation, leaving y squared, putting just only a 0, so you will end up having z squared equal x squared. It will be written exactly the same thing, x, y, and z, comes to r cubed, such that z squared equal x squared, and y equal to 0. Okay, here we go. And this is for the final one, which you will end up having the origin, actually, and you can write it also exactly like this, x, y, and z belongs to r cubed. This is going to be x squared equal y squared, and z equal to 0. طيب يا يوسف, the plans of equation z equal to a, what's going to develop? هيديفلوب ايه ده؟ similar manner. روح اعمل substitution. روح اخد ال a شيل z واحط مكانها مين؟ a. يوم ده يروح لما اشيل z واحط a, ده هيبقى x squared زائد y squared equal a squared, which is an equation of a circle, which is an equation of a circle. Would make sense. ما هو لو ده الشيب بتاع الكون اللي انا بتكلم عليه، لما اروح للزد بوزيتيف يعني زد هطلع كده، هطلع لفوق كده. يعني لو الايه بتساوي 20، لان في 20 باينه لو انتوا واخدين بالكم. يعني اكني جيت على ده كده ورحت قاطعه ببلان بارلل للباي 1 للاكس واي بلان. ايه الشيب اللي هيظهر قدامك؟ سيركل. ماشي؟ يبقى اذا with a with a greater than 0 you will have a circle but in the upper plane. But when a is less than 0 you will have also a circle but with the lower or the other part of the space with z equal to a negative sign. So this is going to be the case. I will have x squared plus y squared equal a squared, but remark that z equal to positive a.
هنسكتش.
If needed you can sketch in general لو هو طلب منك يعني. اوكي طبعا ده الشيب بتاع x سكوير بلس y سكوير بيساوي a سكوير، بس خلي بالك ان الزد بتساوي الاي، وطبعا الاي في الحاله ديت less than 0 لانها تبقى لتحت، فدي شيب اوف تو سيركلز. ده الشكل بتاع الكون برضو بشكل اوقع لو انت عايز تتخيل الشكل. انا الاكس واعتقد ان ده الواي، ده الزي موجود في قلب الوسط. لو